Welcome to RA Chats with Eric. Today we're going to be discussing how to get along with your roommate. Joining me today is my former roommate, Nick, and my current roommate, Jacob. We're going to be discussing our first encounters with our roommates freshman year and the do's and don'ts of being a good roommate. Nick was my first college roommate, and we lived together our freshman and sophomore years in the dorms together. And then Jacob, I moved in with him and one other of our friends into this glorious apartment you see now for our junior and senior years. So I've lived with each of these fine fellas for 2 years. One of the most awkward, I would say, parts of getting to know your roommate would be the initial interaction of when you receive a roommate and you haven't met them yet. One thing that's very important to do is you have to message that roommate initially, and that can be weird. I know we honestly barely talked before we actually moved in together. We just took care of what I think are the essential texts you have to send. You have to talk to your roommate and say, what are you going to bring, such as like a microwave. What did you bring?
I brought the refrigerator.
Yeah, the refrigerator. So basically you just have to coordinate to make sure there's enough things for the dorm to function, but not in excess of things. And so, yeah, we really didn't talk before we met.
No, I'm kind of a socially awkward person, so, it was probably best I didn't talk to anybody before I got there.
Fair enough. It's weird to text somebody you don't know, and it's not necessarily that important to text a lot before you meet them, just as long as you know what everyone will be bringing and, anything important like that. And Jacob, he actually was roommates with another one of our friends, Mark, freshman year. You want to touch on your first interactions with him?
Well, yeah, they went pretty similarly to the way yours went. We discussed what we needed for the apartment, the dorm, and a little bit about what our interests were, just casually. He sent me a few memes, and that was about it before we actually moved in.
Yeah, so pretty much it goes all the same. Don't feel like you have to really get to know somebody before you meet them, but make sure you touch base with them a little bit just to get a feel for who they are. So when you first get to the dorm and actually meet your roommate in person, it's going to be a little bit weird. You're going to feel awkward, but if it makes you feel better, everyone feels that way, I would say. No one quite knows what to do. So just introduce yourself and just make random small talk. Just ask about stuff. Like, what would you say?
Yeah, I didn't really have a good talking point, so I just started bringing up my major and other people's majors. Everyone wants to talk about themselves a little bit, so, that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
You got anything?
Well, an easy way to connect with your new roommate is just ask him if you want to go out and get some food together, find something on campus that looks nice.
Yeah, that's honestly a great thing to do because all incoming freshmen, whenever you get there, no one knows what to do. So if someone's like, hey, go do something with me, they'll honestly probably be thrilled. Just like, oh yeah, thanks, because I really have no idea what I'm doing and no one else does. That's a good thing to remember is basically no one there has any friends and everyone's looking for friends. And just spending time together will help you really just get to know people and make great friends. So, simple as that. Just keep talking, do stuff together. Oh, and very important, if you get there first, whenever your other roommate gets there, offer to help them move in. Be polite. That's a must. I know Nick helped me move in, and I think he actually helped Jacob move in too, since he lived across the hall.
Yep.
Yeah. So always be nice, offer to help. Okay guys, I think we all can agree on the most important rule of being a good roommate, and we all know what it is.
Don't touch their stuff.
So it's it's as simple as if there's things you need, if there's something of theirs you might need, always ask first, because I'm sure they'll say yes, but if they say no, you've got to respect that, because there's nothing worse than someone just going into your things and messing with them. And when you live in the dorms and it's such close quarters, your things are going to be like everywhere because there's not a lot of place to put them. So you don't want someone going through and messing with your stuff. Always ask to touch something and just never go into anyone else's stuff. It's very simple, but it can make you a terrible roommate if you do it.
Even something small, like, a pencil, that might be the only person's pencil. So, don't take anything without asking. I know I actually had my roommate after Eric, he ended up taking one of my pencils, and I didn't know that, and that was the only pencil I had in my backpack. And so I came to class with literally nothing to write with.
That's sad. Don't make somebody sad. Yeah, and I know you used to play my Xbox, and any time you would always ask me first. Even though you knew I would say yes, it was very respectful. He would ask first, and that means a lot. So don't touch your roommate's stuff. No exceptions. Always ask. There you go. Another really important thing about being a roommate is not being messy, because dorms are way too small to be having a mess in them. I mean, what were the size of our dorms?
Oh my God, they were small, like probably like 12 by 20 or something like that.
I feel like 20 is generous. Either way, you live in a box with one other person, and there's no room for it to be a mess. Honestly, it will affect your schoolwork, I would say. If you have crap everywhere, it's hard to focus, it's hard to live. So keep yourself neat for you, and keep yourself neat for your roommate, because it's no fun to be in a room with stuff all over the place. It doesn't feel good. You don't feel comfortable in it. And I know, Nick, you had a pretty messy roommate after me, if you want to speak on that.
Yeah, the main thing is if you're gonna like eat, clean up after yourself. Maybe that's something like don't leave your empty chip bags or your bowl of milk on the couch or something like that. Pretty gross example, but that happens. But just clean up after yourself. You don't have to like wash all the dishes every time that like there's anything in the in the sink, but also don't just leave everything out. It's the main thing there.
Yeah, it's pretty much as easy as that. Keep your things neat and tidy. It doesn't have to be pristine, just don't leave stuff everywhere. And if you have stuff, always keep it on your side of the room, just to be nice. A good habit to get into with a roommate is always just say if something bothers you. It doesn't matter how small it is. It helps you just get along good, because we never had any big disagreements. I don't think we really have either.
Nope.
It's been smooth sailing, because anytime something little bothers us, we just let the other one know. And I mean, no one takes it personally, because they just say, oh, hey, don't, I honestly don't have any examples from you guys.
No, not really. One of the things that helped was that, we already kept in mind each other's space. So if there ever was like a time where we needed, like I needed to study, Eric immediately understood, and we didn't have an issue.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like we can't think of an example because we don't really have any problems, because it's just something comes up, we're like, oh, hey, don't do that. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. And we just keep each other in mind, being courteous and whatnot. So if something bothers you, just say it. You're not going to make your roommate mad. They're not going to be like, oh, how dare he. Everyone is trying to make each other comfortable when you live together. So saying little itty bitty things just right off the bat keeps it from becoming a huge problem and getting ugly. Because I've seen that happen, and it's not good. Some of the roommates we know did not get along well, and that's because no one would say anything. So just voice how you feel, and there shouldn't be any problems with that. Another nice thing to do with your roommate is always kind of keep them in the loop of what's going on with you, what you're going to be doing that day. Not really detailed. It doesn't have to be like, this is my schedule for the day or anything. Just more of, hey, I got a big test coming up, so I'm probably going to be in here studying all day. Just let them know kind of, oh, he's going to be here all day, he's going to be studying, maybe I should be quiet. Or even the opposite of, hey, I'm probably going to be gone for most of the day. Just, to give them a heads up of where you're going to be. That way you're not wondering, oh, where's so-and-so. It's just nice. I feel like it helps you kind of, not necessarily form a bond, but just, feel like, you got some sort of chemistry going on with your roommate. You know where they are, you know what's going on with them. If someone comes looking for them, you know. And that kind of also leads me to let them know in advance if you're going to have people over. Ask them, hey, would it be all right if I had a couple friends over later? It's always nice to ask. And Jacob, what were you going to touch on there?
Well, speaking of telling your roommate whenever you're going to have friends over, maybe invite them to hang out with your friends. I know early on, my roommate made some friends on campus and asked me to hang out with them. And that's how I met Eric and Nick. Just because he just invited me to hang out one day with him.
It worked out well because he's still here. So there you go. It works. And that kind of gets along into always invite your roommate with you, when it's appropriate. I know, even though I know these guys would probably never want to go do a lot of the activities I would do, such as maybe like going to play volleyball on Monday nights, or I don't know, any intramural activities I do. I always would invite them like, hey, I'm going to go do this. You can come with if you want. Just because, it's nice. I know you would always invite me to any frat activities I might have fun with.
Yeah, we would do things like whenever Rush would be happening, we'd always have free food, so I just invited everybody. Like, why not take advantage of free food,
Yeah, it was nice. So I know a lot of times Nick will invite me to places, and I'll be more than happy to go with him. So invite your roommate places. It's a great way to make friends. As actually, Jacob, you said that earlier. And that, that goes beyond just getting to know them in the first couple of days, always invite them with you and just invite other friends in the dorms around you, because the friends you'll make in the dorms, your neighbors and such, that was Jacob. He was my neighbor across the hall from me and Nick. Those will probably be the closest friends you make in college. So take advantage of that, invite your friends places, good things will happen. A nice way to kind of get to know your roommate and really become friends with them is maybe giving their interests a try. Because I know when I first met these guys, I had absolutely zero in common with any of them. And I'd say I still don't have that much in common with you guys. We were just compatible people, I guess, and worked out to be great friends. But I know part of that was I would always give their interests a try and just do new things. I know Nick actually, he showed me a lot of good new ways to work out and stuff. He showed me a lot of fitness stuff and helped me get into shape, and I really enjoyed that, and we still work out together. And Jacob actually was into a lot of board games, and none of us were at the time, we were like, oh, board games, but he had some really interesting ones, and we played them regularly, and after the shoot, we're actually gonna go play one of our favorites.
Like in the same vein, like I'm not a very physically active guy, but every now and again I'll play sports with Eric and just, like I'll have fun. I won't necessarily go like as hard as he does, but still we'll play around casually and have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that we did a lot that was probably like the first way that we all like got together and became friends was just watching movies. Because I mean, you know, any movie can really be fun for anybody. You know.
Yeah, everybody likes movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, find common interest and give other interests a try, and you never know what you might like. A big part about living with people, and it's not just your roommate in the dorms, but everyone in the dorms, is good laundry etiquette. Because there's a finite amount of washers and dryers in the dorms, and it's not enough for everybody. So a good thing to do is whenever you do laundry, set a timer so you know exactly when the laundry gets done. That way you won't forget about it and leave it in there. Because that's a big problem we live in the dorms, I know, is that, you know, people would forget about their laundry, and then there would be a whole washer or dryer taken up, and there's even fewer for everyone else to use. So always set a timer, make sure you have enough time to get fully through a load so you don't have to leaving your stuff somewhere, because it's inconsiderate. It's really looked at as rude, I would say, and you know, make sure you get it done. And it'll happen every now and then, you will forget about it. I know I've forgotten about it myself. So just try and practice good laundry etiquette, that way everyone can get their stuff done as efficiently as possible.
And a quick tip, always remember to take everything out of the machine, because every now and again you will leave a sock behind and it will end up in someone else's laundry. So you should always watch out for that.
All right, that's a good point, Jacob. At the end of the day, all you got to really do to be a good roommate is just think about how your actions will affect who you're living with and who else you're living around.
A good example of this is, you know, if you're going to be out late, then let your roommate know, and so, you know, then you're not just going to wake them up immediately. And another thing is plan, if you're going to be out late, to make sure that you're going to be quiet when you're going there. Don't bring women back to the dorms. Just simple things like that. Like, just don't be super loud. You know, be respectful of the other person if you're going to be later than they are. And I think Jacob has something as well.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, if you have, say, an early morning class and your roommate doesn't, try and be respectful of them, try and be quiet. They might be trying to get some sleep when they normally wouldn't have a lot of time to. So try and keep noise down, especially if your roommate's trying to sleep, just generally.
So that's pretty much it. That's how you can be a good roommate. It's not hard, just little things to think about. And if it all goes well, you could end up with some of the best friends you'll make in college. Don't take your roommates for granted. They could be great people, but to be honest, it doesn't always work out for everyone, so don't be too disappointed. Just always be on the lookout to make friends and come to college with a positive attitude. Thanks for watching. This has been RA Chats with Eric. Tune in later for more educational and helpful videos.
This has been a Teacup production.